let's do a quick tour of the interior. I'll start with the door. So here are your controls, which, it's normal for Mercedes to have the controls, the seating controls on the door panel. This particular vehicle, again, I was looking for very specific features. In other words, essentially put, I wanted this car to have everything I had in my Lexus plus some. And for the most part, that worked out. So you'll see this one has the heated seats. It also has the ventilated seats. And then that third button with the R, that one is so that you can operate the passenger seat. So everything you do for the driver's seat, you can do for the passenger seat from the driver's seat. That's a really good feature, especially if you have somebody getting in the rear. You can easily push that button and you can move I don't know if you can see it, you can move the seat forward or back or whatever you need to do with it. And it's not limited to that. You can also turn on the heat for the other side. You can turn on the ventilation to the other side, whatever different levels. You can even program the memory for this side. You can hit that and program the seat memory for the other side. So that's a pretty neat feature. And you have all your window controls here and your mirrors, which they do fold. And when you're lock the car, they fold in if you want them to. Another little extra on this car is that it has heated rear seats, which is always an option for Mercedes, but I don't really see them a lot, at least not in something that's not an S-Class. So that's a nice little option, and it works on both sides. The only thing with this one, unlike the front, you can't access it or operate it from the driver's seat. It has to be accessed by the passengers, or at least from that button. This is the center console. One neat thing I discovered on this car by accident one day is that you can turn on the radio without the key. You don't have to put the car in accessory mode or anything like that. You simply press the power button and it should start up. Maybe, oh yeah, there it is. So this car, while that's going, this car does not have the dual, what do you call that, screen or whatever this is, which is okay with me. This has the digital screen here and the analog portion on this side. That works out just fine for me. The center part, it's black right now. That is a digital color display, and this shows a lot of good information or useful information while you're driving. But, and then obviously all your engine, oil, things like that. So I like it. This car is not touchscreen. I believe the models after this are touchscreen. But again, I'm okay with it not being touchscreen. I don't like to touch the glass, so fingerprints that's one less thing to clean or have the car looking however. The other part on this car that I do like is the black wood trim. I believe it's a veneer. I like it. I'm not sure if I would have ordered it if I were, speccing out this car on my own. I probably wouldn't have, but I'm glad this is spec'd like this. The other part on this car is the console here. I think on a lot of these, the default is the piano black, which I do not like for the same reason I don't like the glass. So this one was optioned with the black, I believe this is like a black ash veneer. And this is, again, really nice. You can feel the actual grooves in it. And I believe this is real wood, at least the veneer. It's a layer of real wood on it. Speaking of that, The other material in this car is leather. So all the leather in this car is real leather. It's not the MB Tex or the synthetic leather. So this one was optioned with real leather. And I believe in most of the cases with the Mercedes, if you get ventilated seats, you have to, I think leather is a default upgrade or something like that. So either way, I'm happy with it. This car also has Apple CarPlay, and so there's the USB for it, and it also has wireless charging. And it has the NFC. Not really sure how to use that. I think you can pair it or customize it, use it for different profiles, because this car also has the ability to assign different profiles for different drivers. So I believe that's what it's for. I'm not 100% sure about that. And then of course, cup holders, and there's a spot for the key if you need to put it there. A quick tour of this little section. That's the button for your automatic start stop. I like it. I'll say it doesn't bother me. I know a lot of people, it bothers them. They don't really like it, but it doesn't bother me too much. I do turn it off if I am on a side streets going through residential areas where it's a lot of stop signs. I don't like for it to constantly stop and go like that. But if I'm sitting, let's say in traffic or something like that, and it's just going slow or whatever, I'll definitely use it then, because it's no point in having an engine running if you're not going anywhere. This button is for the parking sensors and the assisted parking. I'll try to demo that another time if I can. And then that's to turn off the parking sensors. I don't understand why that button is there. Why wouldn't it be placed over in another section? I don't understand why it wouldn't be placed here with these, but whatever. And then this button is your dynamic select switch. This one is what allows you to put the car into, I believe, 5 different modes. So you have your eco, the default is comfort, and comfort does pretty good. It's a good balance between between performance and fuel economy. Then you have your sport, which also does pretty good. It's in the car, you feel the sportiness, but it still has it still does pretty good on the fuel economy, and it still uses all the automatic and all the electronic stability programming and things like that. The next one is Sport Plus. That one, this car turns into a completely different animal. It is so, I don't use it too often, because the moment you put in Sport Plus, I mean, the transmission gets super tight. You literally tap on the gas and this thing just takes off like a rocket. And I believe the other thing with Sport Plus, I think it deactivates, I don't know if it deactivates the electronic stability programming or if it reduces it to some extent, but I know there is a warning in the owner's manual that suggests you only use it in appropriate, conditions or spaces, like a track. And then the 5th one is the individual, so you can customize it. There's not really a lot of customization with it, but you can stiffen the steering or keep it more comfort level. You can change the ESP. The one way I like to use the individual is to put it in manual mode. So basically what that does is puts the transmission into manual mode to where you can use these paddle shifters to drive the car. So if you're familiar with using, with driving stick shifts, so there's the decelerate and or down and up, you might have a pretty good feel for how to do this. I will say it does, it's pretty smart. So if you mess up, it won't let you break the car, basically. For example, if you have it in, let's say, 3rd gear, you come to a stoplight and you forget to downshift and put it back to 1st gear to start, it'll automatically do it. So you're not going to mess it up. Or let's say, likewise, you're driving and you shift and you're not shifting. You don't want to let it get into the red zone. And so it will make sure that you don't tear up the engine. But that's it for that. And then over here you have the power button for the, what do you call that? For this screen here. I'm trying to get this. It's going all over the place. And the volume button, which is also your mute button. So you scroll it up and down, and I like the little textures on here, or you can press it in and it'll mute. And then you have the dial here, and the home button and a back button. And so these allow you to control this, control the system here. You can also control it with the system here. So this little module is touch, and it also, you'll see it has the same home and the back, and then skip. For some reason, I don't know what's up with Mercedes and their music buttons or whatever, but this is the only way to fast forward or skip a track or something. It's weird. But anyway, you can use this. So this whole deal is touch sensitive. And what it'll do, you can also write in it. So it recognizes gestures and handwriting. I never use that, but it's there. And if you don't want to use this, there is an option in there to just disable this altogether. So, if you're somebody that likes to just sort of rest your hand there while you're driving, well, there you go. So you can use this. You can use this to control this infotainment system. The other part is the steering wheel. So this little trackpad and these buttons at the top, they also control the infotainment system. And then there is one additional way, and that is voice. So a lot of the stuff in here can be controlled by voice. I don't do it too often, but it's the option is there. For example, you can use your voice to turn on the seat, the heat for the passenger seat if you wanted to, or the ventilation for the passenger seat. Or you can turn some of the interior lights on and off. You can obviously use it for navigation purposes. If you want to, let's say, tell it where to go or whatever. So I use that pretty frequently. I'll get in, I'll just tap this and say work or home or whatever, and then it just does its thing. So, there are some videos I've seen where people kind of fuss about certain stuff. They'll fuss about the control knob here or this part, and I don't quite get it because, you have options. So if you don't like using controls on your steering wheel, well, you don't have to. You don't have to. You can just use the controls here, or you can use the knob here. You can also use the controls here. The other thing is these are all tactile, so they feel pretty nice and solid. I mean, you can push them up, down, or whatever, and they are just very solid, very nice look to the vehicle. Then, of course, you have these other buttons here to get you to the different sections. So your navigation, radio, media, telephone, and other car settings, and then your hazard button there. And then, of course, the vents here, and even these are pretty solid. I mean, they are solid. These will close off the vents. So these have that piano black, which is, it's okay. And then one other thing on the inside is this has the Burmester system. Now this isn't, I believe there are 2 levels of the Burmester system. And this is not the highest trim where it has the tweeters that spin out and things like that. However, this system is very nice. So, it's got speaker there, a couple of speakers behind me there, and then, obviously in the trunk. So, but if I were to compare the speakers to my Lexus, I would have to say my Lexus speakers were amazing. They hands down killed this one. Those were in my Lexus I had the Mark Levinson system, and it was absolutely amazing. That's the one thing I do kind of miss about that car. But this one is definitely up there. It's not like I'm disappointed. My previous, I had another E-Class. I had a 2016 E350. That had a Harman Kardon system, and I thought it was trash. I couldn't believe that system was in the car. So this Burmester is excellent. As far as upgrades and enhancements to the car, since I've had it, I haven't done too much. I did purchase some floor mats for the interior, the cloth carpets, because when I bought it, the original floor mats were not in there, but they had some WeatherTech floor mats in there, which are fine, so I use those in bad weather, obviously. But I ordered some really nice black ones, which are in there right now. And that's really all I did on the interior. I did not have to get the windows tinted because they were already tinted when I bought it. So that was good. I would say one major thing I did do was had a little paint correction done, not a lot, but sort of a low-level paint correction done, and the PPF. So I have that on the front of the car and a couple other spots, and the ceramic coating. So I had that done about a year ago, and I'm actually approaching the anniversary of that in another week or so. So far, it's held up pretty good. I'm really glad I did do the PPF because that stuff makes a difference. And again, I did have that on my Lexus. So again, I wanted to put that on this. And so in this car, it's on the hood. It's on the entire front end. So the hood, the headlights, the bumper, the whole lower fascia, the mirrors. So it's also on those mirror caps, and the edges of the door. So I don't know if you can, it's up along this part. So that's all the way around. And it's also on the lip of the trunk. So up along this part. So if you have luggage or something, you put stuff in or whatever, and people tend to rub across that part of the car. So it's there. And then the ceramic coating, of course, was over the whole thing, except for the glass. So they did not do the glass. I'm not sure how I feel about the ceramic coating. I think they did the wheels too. But they did do the paint correction. There were a lot of swirls in this car, and it was really bad. So it looks much better now. And then, of course, I take care of it. I keep it garaged at home and at work. So it's rarely out in the elements. So let's talk about the repairs and related expenses for this car so far. Overall, it's actually not been too bad. One of the first things I had to have changed was the battery. So when I first got the car, I didn't realize this until I'd had it for a couple of months, that the automatic start-stop wasn't working. And I know in some conditions it doesn't work, but it wasn't working at all. So I took it into the dealer, had them take a look at it, and sure enough, it turns out that one of the batteries on this car was dead. So if you're familiar with Mercedes, you know they typically have more than one battery. It's probably a lot of these car manufacturers now. But the one that controls a lot of the accessories and things like that, it was dead or starting to go dead. And it's pretty interesting the way they have this set up because it did not interfere with anything else. There were just a couple of things. I think one of the other things, it was the seat, where the seat is supposed to automatically move forward and backward. So what happens is if that battery is dead or going dead, it will not interfere with all the main components you need to operate the car. it'll just stop, powering those particular functions. But I took it into the dealer. They found that that battery was the original which was dated 2018, I believe is when that battery was. So, 2024, I think, is when I changed it out. So that's not too bad. Another expense was the tires. So I had these are run flat tires. And I guess I had a nail puncture one day, and it was in such a way that the tire couldn't be replaced or repaired, so they had to replace it. And that is very expensive at the dealer. The dealer quoted me over $600 for it, and that was before taxes. And so I ended up going to, I think, Tire Discounters or somewhere, and theirs was less than $400 total, taxes, installation, and shop supplies, and everything else. But these tires are very expensive. So that was another one. The other issue I had on this car, so the tires, I don't really consider that a part of the vehicle. Something else I've had to have replaced on this car so far, and I can't understand how this happened, was the rotors. The rotors in the front, I'm not sure if it was the driver's side or passenger side, but either way, they were warped. And it was very noticeable driving this car, or at least stopping. And so that was expensive. Wasn't as expensive as I was expecting, but it still wasn't cheap. So I think that was about $1,200 or so to get both rotors, but that did include both rotors and new brake pads, and of course insulation and everything else. So it's all OEM, and then when you look at it, you factor that in. You got to factor in the fact that these are the drilled and vented, the AMG performance rotors. So these are not the standard E-Class or at least E300 setup. So it wasn't too bad. So aside from the tires and rotors, the only other issue I've had with this car has been the wiper blades. When it rains, these things are chattering and skipping and doing all kinds of stuff all across the entire windshield, and it is absolutely insane. So I've been going back and forth to the dealer. I think they might have finally found a fix for it just the other day. So they said that there was a bolt that was loose that was causing it. Since November 24, between November 24 and April of 25, I've had 2 sets of wiper blades put on this car, thinking that that's the issue. Now, I only had to pay for 1 set. That was the initial set, which again was about $70. The dealer installed them and did all that stuff. And then the second set, they replaced them under the warranty for those wiper blades. So, and then the other day when I had them take a look at it, again, that didn't cost anything. They were able to do a super quick fix or quick inspection on it, and then realized that there was a bolt or something that was loose that was most likely contributing to the performance of the wiper blades. So we'll see next time I get caught in the rain. We'll see how it works. But other than that, that's it. I haven't had any problems with it. The engine performs insane. The power is great. I'm taking it on a road trip, from Ohio to Tennessee, and this thing just is excellent on gas if you drive it that way. It's also excellent on power if you want to drive it that way. But I tell you, when it gets on a highway, it's like this thing was created for the highway, because the ride, for some reason, it seems like the faster you go, the more comfortable the ride is, which is insane. And it just goes effortlessly. You don't feel the engine trying. We're talking inclines or steep inclines and all that stuff. It just goes. So this is one I would say, if you are in the market for a used luxury vehicle, or especially one from one of the German brands, the Audi, BMW, Mercedes. This might be something to consider, especially with all the talks of tariffs and all the political things that are going on now that are affecting the everyday citizen, everyday buyer, car prices and all that stuff, everything, inflation, everything being expensive. This might be a good way to go, and that is to buy a used or pre-owned vehicle. In this particular case, mid-size, so that'd be an E450, and then just just go from there. I would say make sure you do have some type of warranty, or you at least understand the potential financial obligation that comes with it as far as maintenance costs. So do make sure you factor that in, regardless of how good the deal is that you get. But overall, I think this is a really great deal. It has a good value to it, and primarily because of the engine. Most of these E-classes now are 4 cylinders, pushing out around 240 horsepower. That's great for fuel economy, but if you're somebody that prefers and enjoys performance, at least every now and then your E450 is the way to go. For BMW, I think the equivalent to this would be the 540. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe the 540 is the equivalent. And then Audi, obviously A6. I'm not sure what trim though. If they have like 2.0, 3.0, probably a 3.0 if that's a thing with Audi still. But yeah, this is it. I would say do it. Get one, do your inspections, and make sure everything is, just have it all inspected, checked out, make sure you don't have any surprises. And then if you can, definitely buy a warranty. The warranty on this one was not cheap. It was pretty expensive. However, I weighed the cost of the warranty with, the cost of not having the warranty in the event, let's say one of these turbos goes out, which from my understanding, these turbos can get, be upwards of, $4,000 or $5,000 each. So, and that's, for me, that's not something I'm willing to risk having to pay for out of pocket, spur of the moment. So I would rather have a warranty to help with that